Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Vedic Astrology Podcast. My name is Fiona Marks, and as I'm recording right now, it is time once again to have a look at the solar month, this time the solar month of Virgo. It is the 22nd of August here, and August in Portugal is a fantastic month of summer. So I hope wherever you are enjoying your summer, or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're enjoying that the days are getting longer and longer as we are heading towards the equinox. But as I say, we take summer pretty seriously here in Portugal. So today's a shorter and more spontaneous look at what is happening in the field of Virgo as the sun moves through the Rashi of Virgo. We've been using each transit of the sun as a way to give us an opportunity to connect with each Rashi and maybe learn little bit more about the field itself and be more connected, more aware of it. So it's no different this month. We're going to try to understand Virgo by perhaps looking at our own sun in our own chart and what it would mean for us as a way to personalize our experience of Virgo. But before we do that, let's have a look at what is happening during the month itself. So we have the sun entering today on the 22nd of August, leaving Leo and entering Virgo, and it will be moving through the very end of August, is all taking place in Virgo, and then into September, right through till the 22nd, 23rd of September, when the sun reaches the equinox and moves into Libra. And as I said, this whole year we've been looking at following the sun's transit and connecting with a particular Rashi each month. And this month is interesting because there's been a lot going on in the solar month of Leo, and in this lead up to Virgo. So I'm not sure how much we're going to connect with Virgo this month because there's just a lot of other things going on. And the first one to mention as we enter into Virgo is that we just experienced a full moon, that second full moon that we were expecting in Leo. And I hope you had a chance to see a beautiful supermoon rising. And as you might be aware already, there were a lot of significant angles created during that full moon. It was one of those very special times when we had the full moon, which is a sun-moon opposition. And at 90 degrees to that was Uranus, which is in Taurus. But we also had the Saturn in Pisces, Venus in Virgo. They were opposite each other. And then we had also Jupiter and Mars conjunct in Gemini, as well as other planets like Pluto is retrograding a little bit back from Aquarius into Capricorn, and we have Neptune just about leaving Pisces. So there's just an awful lot of things going on. And it makes me wonder whether we're really going to be able to tap into Virgo this month. But let us accept the opportunity and see what we can do. So as the sun arrived into Virgo, it was coming off this quite eventful period of time. And the main changes that will be happening during this solar month of Virgo from tropical perspective is that sun is entering on the 22nd of August. Then on the 29th of August, a week later, Venus is leaving Virgo and heading into Libra. And on the 2nd of September, Pluto is retrograding out of Aquarius and into Capricorn. And then on the 4th of September, Mars is moving from Gemini into Cancer, its debilitation sign. And then on the 9th of September, Mercury, having finished its retrograde, is going to be moving into Virgo, catching up with the sun. And then on the 22nd of September, the sun is leaving Virgo and going into Libra. There's a few changes of signs for different planets. It's interesting to keep in mind that at this point in time, we're mentioning that Mars is going to move from Gemini into Cancer during solar Virgo, and that will be its debilitation sign. But we also have Venus currently in its debilitation sign in Virgo. And then we have Saturn is in Pisces at the moment. So not imminently, but it is on its way to its debilitation sign of Aries. And the Sun, of course, is also on its way to its debilitation sign of Libra. So we have several planets getting to their lowest point of Ucha Bala. And Ucha Bala is that kind of ease where everything falls into your lap. So there's plenty of opportunity. So we have to work a little bit harder when our planets are debilitated. So I just thought that was interesting to notice. Of course, the one shining light, the exception to that is Jupiter is making its way also towards Cancer, but Cancer is its exaltation sign. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, that's not happening this month or next month. It's something that's happening in the next 6 months. It's in our future. But the planet that is becoming exalted this month is Mercury, because it is going into its own sign of Virgo where it is exalted. So that is Mercury helping us out this month, moving into Virgo on the 9th of September. As well as things that are happening with planets changing signs, let's also talk about the moon. So as we know, we had that full moon right before we arrived here into solar Virgo. That means that the new moon will be happening in Virgo, and it's going to occur on the 3rd of September at 11 degrees of Virgo. And the full moon will be on the 18th of September. The moon will be in Pisces around 25 degrees. And I just want to point out that's actually going to be a partial lunar eclipse because Rahu is working its way through Aries, and as the nodes go backwards, so it is getting closer and closer to the start of Aries and the end of Pisces, where the full moon is going to be taking place at 25 degrees of Pisces. So we have in this month a partial lunar eclipse. So this is another factor where I am unsure of how much we're going to be experiencing Virgo energy because there's got a lot of other distractions and stimulations going on. One of the things that we might like to think about as we now know a little bit about the layout of the planets for solar Virgo is just to notice how many planets will be in Virgo during this solar month. So the Sun is going to be in Virgo for the whole solar month of solar Virgo. And then the moon will be having the new moon. We were saying around 3rd, 4th, 5th, that kind of time of September. And then right at the beginning of the month, Venus is already in Virgo. It will be there until nearly the end of August. And then we also have Mercury going into its exaltation sign happening from around the 8th of September. So the Virgo energy is the Sun, Venus, and Mercury. And of course, the new moon will also be taking place in Virgo. But we might like to also think about what other signs are getting a lot of stimulation this month. And I think Libra is preemptively getting some stimulation as well. So we have Venus moving into Libra from the start of September. And this is its own sign. So Venus owns Libra. And we have K2 already in Libra. We have the nodes, one of the nodes in Libra. And that is why we're going to have a full moon partial lunar eclipse on the Pisces Libra axis, even though it will be Rahu that is causing the partial eclipse. Of course, its partner K2 is in Libra. So plenty of Virgo and Libra energy this month. And then we have also some Gemini stimulation. We have Mars and Jupiter in Gemini. They had that conjunction in Gemini right around the time of the full moon. This is two friends in Vedic astrology, Mars and Jupiter. They delight each other because Jupiter delights everyone, and Mars is friends with Jupiter, and it brings out some good strengths in both of them. So Mars is a warrior, an action-orientated planet of ideals and wanting to do the right thing. And when it is with Jupiter, it feels that delight, the support of Jupiter. Jupiter is the guru. Jupiter is wise, compassionate, generous, has a big vision, and really you can feel almost that Jupiter golden light making Mars feel extra puffed out in the chest that, yes, I'm doing the right thing. I'm truly doing the right thing. And equally for Jupiter has plenty of great philosophical insights, great long-term, huge, enormous strategic vision of everything that's happening. But with Mars's delight, it's able to get some rubber hitting the road, hopefully. However, this is happening in Gemini, so that's an air sign, so keep that in mind. But these two planets delighting each other, really feeling that it's very meaningful, the actions that they're taking at this time, a sense of emboldened enthusiasm and courage. I think we can grab a hold of the cheerful warrior, joyful warrior, whatever the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, one of the name tags that they've been given over this period of time, is this joyful warrior. And I think that's a beautiful expression of Jupiter and Mars delighting each other. So that occurred right before we entered into solar Virgo. So we might still be feeling that energy. And they will continue to be in the same sign until Mars moves into Cancer on the 4th of September. So there's still quite some Gemini energy. So Gemini, Virgo, and Libra seem to be where we're getting the energies this particular solar Virgo month. And then to finish up our look at the actual movements and changes during solar Virgo, I just also wanted to point out some of the harmonies in the degrees between planets this month. So as before we entered, when the sun was towards the end of Leo, we also had Venus around 20 degrees of Virgo. We had Mars around 20 degrees of Gemini. We had Jupiter at 17 degrees of Gemini and Saturn at 17 degrees of Pisces. So I'm just picking that from today. But if you wind that back a few days, you can see that everything was around that 15 to 20 degrees. The Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So that's what we're saying. There's a lot of energy resonating at that 15 to 20 degrees before we entered. Then in the middle of this solar Virgo, we have that new moon where we have the moon's going to be in Virgo, the sun's going to be in Virgo around about 10 degrees. We've got Venus at around 6 or 7, and we've got the nodes also around 6, 7 at that time. So some sort of in the middle of the month, some interaction in the degrees that the planets are making. And then as we exit solar Virgo and the sun is leaving around at 29 degrees, we're also going to have Venus leaving Libra at 29 degrees as well. And then all of those outer planets are around 29 degrees at the moment. We've got Uranus at 27 degrees in Taurus, Neptune at 28 degrees of Pisces, and Capricorn 29 degrees for Pluto. So both the beginning, the middle, and the end, we have some resonating planets at the same degrees, but in different signs from each other. So I think there's a lot of stimulation around the ecliptic, and that is why thinking about connecting with solar Virgo energy this month is going to be interesting because there's plenty of other things going on at the same time. But not to be deterred, let's have a think about what's Virgo all about and what makes it just such a profoundly important sign for all of us. I don't know whether you have any planets there or whether you've had the chance to connect with Virgo energy before. We did do a podcast on Virgo and the sixth house and the song Hotel California a few podcasts ago, a little while ago. So Virgo is a sign that definitely fascinates me. let's break down some of its fundamental DNA. I think one of the things that jumps out to me is that it's a mutable sign. And we've already talked about that we just happen to have plenty of planets in mutable signs right now. We have the Sun in Virgo. That's why we're talking about it. We know we're going to have a Venus-Mercury experience in Virgo, so that's a mutable sign. We know that we have the Gemini, Jupiter and Mars conjunction is also a mutable sign. And we have Saturn in Pisces, which is a mutable sign. And we know that we're going to have the partial lunar eclipse is going to be in Pisces, a mutable sign as well. So plenty of stimulation to the mutable signs, and they are all about integrating our experiences. We have those cardinal signs, which are activated and where we have direction and we move, experience things. And then we have our fixed signs where we want to consolidate and try to stay stabilize the experience. And then these mutable signs are able to go back and forth between that experience. So they help us digest. And I think that digest is a really key word for me at the moment for trying to understand Virgo. So it's a mutable sign. It's a female sign. It's an earth sign. And female signs have got that inner energy to them, that the profound workings out of these inner female signs, we don't necessarily see what's going on, extroverted, but deep inside, really important processing is happening. And again, digestion seems really key for this, doesn't it? So let's remember it's a female sign. It's an earth sign. It's owned by Mercury, and Mercury is exalted here and will be in this sign during solar Virgo. And Mercury is the only planet that exalts itself. All the other planets are exalted when they are guests in someone else's sign, but is the only planet that exalts itself. And it's hard really to, Mercury, it's almost like, you know, that thing they say about the fish in water, that you can't perceive the water because you live in the water. And Mercury is a bit like that. You almost can't perceive how important and fundamental Mercury is because it makes up everything that we're perceiving. So Virgo is a great chance for us to learn a little bit more about Virgo. It's the Mula Trachona. It's where it's exalted. So we've talked about mutable. We've talked about it being female and earth sign. It's tamasic, so it wants to focus on real life problems, and it's an earth sign. So that's really great combination of getting into the detail and really solving real things. It's also got an Arthur energy of looking after the things that we must do to take care of our physical form and the things that we manifest. And Mercury is really a project manager, isn't it? And helps us manifest things by breaking them down into tasks that we can actually achieve. And step by step, we just do one thing after another thing and we can build the most amazing end result. And Virgo is really good example of this ability that Mercury gives us. So we were saying that I'm really enjoying thinking about Virgo as connected to digestion. And I do that because Virgo is the sixth sign of the zodiac, if we're counting from Aries. And the sixth sign and the sixth house have to do with the belly and the bowels of the creator. That's what it says in Brihat Parashar. The belly and the bowels of the creator. And if you think about digestion, it's so fundamentally important to being alive. And as a child, as a young person, as a Westerner, when I was in school and learning about life, I don't know, I didn't really pick up that much about digestion. I'm sure we studied it in science, but for most of my experience, it was food in and poop out, and didn't really even focus on the poop out. So life is all about food in, and food in is all about the desirability of the food, the way that it smells and the way that it looks and the love that's been put into it and how attractive it is. And our eyes, like the appetite of getting the food in. So that was, as a young person, that was my experience of digestion, was what looked the most appealing. But really, that is so the window dressing of what is actually going on, isn't it? Because when we are digesting, we are taking matter from the outside world that is foreign to us, and we are bringing it inside our own organism. So we're bringing the outside in, and we are breaking it down from the form that it grew in out there in the real world as a plant or an animal. It grew in its own structure, and then it might have been prepared as well by us in some particular way, fried or boiled or baked and mixed together with lots of different things, or marinated or fermented. We do all of these things to it. So it may come to us in many different forms, in raw, in cooked, in fermented, any number of ways, and any combination with any sort of different ingredients altogether. But regardless of whatever those processes were, once it comes inside the body, we need to break it down to access the nutrients and get those pieces into a small enough and fine enough sizes, particles, that we can sort our way through it as the body is sorting its way through what is useful in this outside material. How can I break it down effectively? And then identify it and then send it off to build the cells in this body that I use all the time. In those 5 layers of the body, this is actually the food body. It's the food body because it's made of food. And it's just so remarkable to me that the experience of digestion, the process of digestion, is taking this very complex external material, breaking it down, identifying what it is, and keeping it in a useful size packet, and then sending that through the bloodstream to where it needs to go. Like absorbing it so that it can go into the bloodstream. And of course, also importantly, throwing out the waste. So identifying what's not required. And this is how I'm delighted to be understanding Virgo at the moment, is just like digestion, we are experiencing a whole lot of information all the time. And Virgo is the place where we, in that feminine, internal, inner world way, we are sorting through all the information and working out what is useful and where it needs to go. So we're also compartmentalizing, making sure the little compartments of this information are small enough that we can store them in the right places and put them together with other information we have and build the concepts and understanding and experiences that we need. This is one way to understand Virgo energy. And we want to make sure that we really honor and respect this process, even though we can't see it. It's vitally important, and we need our digestion to go at the right pace. For some people, that means we need sure that our digestion slows down a little bit so we have time to actually take out the things that we really need and use them. For other people, we need to make sure it doesn't go too slow because we don't want this external material rotting in the body. We've got to keep this inner space fresh and alive. So pacing is really important. And so it is with Virgo as well, that it's giving us a chance. This solar Virgo, this transit through Virgo, give us a chance to reflect on the speed at which we are taking in, sorting through, filtering, purifying, getting rid of what we don't need. How is the pace of that going for us? And what can we do in this solar month to be more connected to that process of deconstructing all the amazing things that we've been exposed to, getting the useful bits out of them and storing them correctly and using them correctly, and then also getting rid of the waste. So, as we normally do then, let's take a look at how we might connect with this for each ascendant. So in order to do that, you need to know what your ascendant sign is, and that is what was rising on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. In Vedic astrology, we normally use whole sign, whole house. So you just need to know what sign it was that was rising, and that becomes your rising sign, your ascendant. And then from that, one of the beautiful things about whole house, whole sign is that as soon as we know that, we know then which planet rules which house for each ascendant. So that's what we're using in each of these podcast episodes. We're just going through and asking ourselves, what is the sun for this ascendant? What house does it rule? And is that a way that we can enter into connecting to Virgo a little bit better? So these podcast episodes are not designed to predict anything. They can't be particularly tailored to your chart and your life, because although we might know what the sun represents for ascendant, we don't know where that sun is in your birth chart. We don't know where any of the other planets are. And as you already know, there's plenty of things going on in the sky right now. So we really don't want to take these as predictions, but we want to take them as invitations to connect to Virgo energy. So let's begin by thinking about Aries. And what we do know for an Aries ascendant is that the sun is the fifth lord. And the fifth lord is all about creativity and our legacy and our children. So the fifth lord, the sun, during solar Virgo is going to be in the sixth house for an Aries ascendant. So if we want to connect with a Virgo energy, we might want to look at our daily routines, including digestion we just talked about, but other daily routines, the things that we do every day, because the sixth house are our routines. And when we do our sixth house well, we are dealing with our obstacles and debts every day. We're just keeping on top of them, and they never turn into big uncontrollable messes. So the invitation of the sixth house is to be present to your daily routine. And as it is an Arthur house, an Arthur number 6, take responsibility and do those little things that we need to do every day. So if you want to connect with solar Virgo this month, I'm wondering whether being creative about your daily routines might be a nice way to go. You might also want to think about, if you do have children, whether they need some help with their daily routines and being responsible. So maybe this is a time to connect with your children about the support they need in their daily routines. Maybe that's why we're all about to head back to school, aren't we? So maybe for Aries Ascendant, it's all about buying the school materials that we're going to need, all of the books and the pencils. For Aries Ascendant, keep in mind that Mars-Jupiter conjunction that we just had, and that's still in the same sign, where you might be feeling emboldened, is in the third house, which is a symbol of courage, the third house symbol of courage. And this is a very courageous combination, Jupiter and Mars. So maybe there is a good feeling of courage in your life right now. Mars is the first lord for Aries Ascendant. So it's important, this Jupiter-Mars conjunction. And Jupiter is the 9th and the 12th lord. So those are quite a spiritual combination, right? The 9th lord of purpose and the 12th lord of moksha. So maybe some courage around doing something important that's meaningful. And here we have then the sun giving us that creative energy in the 6th house of rubber hitting the road, which means doing it in our daily routines. So maybe if you have been inspired with that courage in the 3rd house around something spiritual, purposeful, meaningful, this solar month of Virgo is a nice time to apply that in a daily, practical way. But Taurus Ascendant, the sun, is the 4th lord, and it is going to be in the 5th house. And the 4th lord and the 4th house, it is a moksha house, and it relates to our inner peace and our heart center in that way that we have a clear conscience in the heart. So the sun, this ruler of our heart space, is in the 5th house of creativity. So maybe it's about connecting our inner peace with our creativity. I don't know whether you feel as a creative person there's some kind of expression that you want to make, but maybe it's also using mantras in the heart center, mantras that go beautifully with the 5th house, and here we have a Moksha Lord, the Sun and Moksha Lord for Taurus Ascendant in the 5th house. I would just point out that the Mars-Jupiter conjunction happened in the 2nd house of finances and responsibilities. So I'm wondering whether you felt emboldened around that. And that the 5th house is about investing. So I would just say that I wonder if you're feeling stimulated around that sort of finances, taking responsibility, maybe doing some investments, and whether you want to just make sure that you act wisely. So if that is the course of action that you want to take, just do the right thing about getting good advice around that. And the other thing that I would point out for Taurus Ascendant is that Venus seems really involved in things that are going on right now. I don't know whether you're feeling that. So we have that it was involved in the full moon that happened on the 19th because it was opposite Saturn at the time. Then it's going to be around when the new moon is happening. It will be in Virgo when the new moon happens. And then when the sun's exiting, it's also exiting Libra. So it just seems like this Venus involved in everything. I don't know whether you're feeling that. I don't have anything to add to that. Just noticing that it seems to be a bit of a key player and will be heading into its own sign of Libra at the end of this month. For Gemini Ascendant, the Sun is the 3rd Lord and it's in the 4th house. And the 3rd Lord it's about courage and challenge and adventure. And it's also about skills. So the 3rd Lord is about skills and hobbies and interests. And the 4th house is about our home. So I'm wondering whether you want to use your skills around the house. Maybe there are some handyman jobs to be doing. Virgo is great for just getting through the to-do list. So perhaps some home improvements or using your skills in your home or in your inner heart center, in your inner peace, using your skills there. Maybe you're going to find some happiness with your neighbors. I hear neighbors being used a lot more than usual in this discussion of politics right now. So maybe some happiness with your neighbors. Things to keep in mind is that Jupiter-Mars conjunction happened in the 1st house of Gemini. So I wonder whether it lifted up your life path, boldened your energy, and brought that joyful warrior to the life path. And also Gemini is a Mercury ascendant, and Mercury is going to be moving forward. It stops being retrograde on the 28th, something like that. So maybe this is a time when we're going to feel a bit more forward flow with that Mars-Jupiter conjunction having happened on the 1st house. Maybe you feel a bit more passionate or a bit more driven about your life path. For Cancer Ascendant, the Sun is the 2nd Lord and it's in the 3rd house. And the 2nd Lord is all about our speech and our responsibilities, our income. And the 3rd house is about skills and hobbies. So if you want to connect with Virgo energy, I'm wondering whether giving your attention to your interests this solar month might help activate that Virgo energy. Maybe even feeling that you could earn money from your interests. We've also got a partial lunar eclipse this month because Cancer is the moon ascendant. So what's going on with the moon is really important. And the Mars and Jupiter conjunction happen in the 12th house for a Cancer ascendant. So there's something otherworldly or inner worldly or not quite so extroverted. This lunar eclipse happening is going to be in the 9th house of seeking purpose and meaning. And that Mars-Jupiter conjunction was in the 12th house. So I'm just wondering whether all of this together is going to be making one question what one does for a living and want to do something meaningful and something with your skills. For Leo Ascendant, the Sun is the 1st Lord and it's going into the 2nd house. It's just leaving Leo and going into its 2nd house. We know that the 1st Lord is all about the body and the life path. And the 2nd house is about our voice, and what we're responsible for, how we earn our income. So we are imagining that this month a way to connect with Virgo energy would be to focus on one's finances. Maybe you want to redo your budget, get into the detail of your planning for how you're going to manage your income this year as we're coming back from holidays. The Mars-Jupiter conjunction happened in the 11th house of recognition and of gains. So perhaps feeling emboldened around gains, around passive income, around recognition. Maybe they're feeling a certain pride, like good energy about that. And just keep in mind that the sun moving through this second house in Virgo gives us that chance to digest, break down, and grab what's important. Might be happening around finances, but then the sun will be heading into the equinox and Libra, where it dips then. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, that's when the days begin to get shorter. So this is a kind of crucial time of year for Leo Ascendant as their sun is in the second house, planning their finances for the year before that dip into Libra. Virgo Ascendant, the sun is the 12th Lord, and it's going to be in the first house. And the 12th Lord is the Lord of contemplation, of enlightenment, of moksha, of all of those things that are the interconnectedness of everything, but that we can't quite understand when we're looking at things through a material perspective. It has been the 12th Lord in the 12th house in this previous month of solar Leo. So perhaps a time when, if you're a Virgo Ascendant, you have been maybe even on retreat, allowing a more quiet time of reflection and contemplating the important things in life, getting away from the hustle and bustle, maybe not putting oneself out there as much. But now with the sun moving into Virgo, we have this movement into the first house. And not only that, but the Mars and Jupiter conjunction happen in the 10th house for a Virgo Ascendant. So that's the house of career. So having had solar Leo of maybe being withdrawn to reflect and to contemplate, this solar Virgo seems to be really giving us a nice energy towards stepping out the first house of our life path and what's important to us, what's our direction. Also that Mars-Jupiter conjunction happening in the 10th. Also Mercury moving out of retrograde and becoming exalted here in Virgo. So while it may have been quiet, perhaps that was exactly the fertile soil in which the seed was able to now burst through into the sunlight. So yeah, plenty of support and stimulation for Virgo moving forward in this solar Virgo month. For a Libra Ascendant, the sun is the 11th Lord, and it's going to be in the 12th house during solar Virgo. The 11th Lord is the Lord of gains and recognition and our aspirations. And the 12th house is a transcendent moksha kind of place. So perhaps this is a linking of our spiritual aspirations, a month when maybe we can get detailed on our daily routine, our daily spiritual routine, get our meditation practice back on track or our yoga practice back on track. And then the Jupiter and Mars conjunction happened in the 9th house, which has also got a sense of purpose and meaning. So maybe that's what also going to motivate our spiritual aspirations and help us use Virgo energy to really dissect what's important about our daily routines and design them in the way that we would like as we head into this new school year, this new working year starting in September. And just like I said for Taurus, Venus, the planet that rules Libra, seems to be involved in a little bit of everything. It was involved in the full moon that we had just before we arrived into solar Virgo because it was opposite Saturn at the time. It is going to be involved in the partial lunar eclipse because it'll be at similar degrees to Rahu and Ketu. And then at the end of the month, as the sun is exiting, then Venus is also going to be exiting Libra. So there's something happening with Venus. Don't know what it is, but it seems to me like Venus is in everything at the moment. For Scorpio Ascendant, the Sun is the 10th Lord and it's in the 11th house. This is a really yummy combination, is the 10th Lord in the 11th house, because the 10th Lord is our career. It's our most activated house, and the 11th house is house of gains. It's a feel-good combination. Although, of course, Mars, the Ascendant Lord, is moving into its sign of debilitation during this month. But right now, that first Lord Mars is conjunct with Jupiter, the second and the fifth Lord. That's also a lovely combination. And it's happening that Mars and Jupiter conjunction happened in the 8th house of transformation. So I'm wondering whether this is a time to feel proud, like feels good, this 10th and 11th house combination, and maybe being a catalyst for change and transformation through one's voice, through one's intellect. Maybe that's where we're feeling emboldened. So a really lovely combination of numbers for Scorpio Ascendant. Nice time to capitalize on that before Mars heads into Cancer towards the end of this solar Virgo month. For Sagittarius Ascendant, the Sun is the 9th Lord and it's in the 10th house. Another lovely combination, a trinal number, the 9th, with an activated angular number, the 10th, linking purpose and career. So maybe, again, we're beginning to start getting ready for that. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, starting to return to work after the summer holidays. So maybe a time of reconnecting to our purpose at work. So maybe using that Virgo energy to be quite detailed and meticulous about what is meaningful about your work. Also noticing that Mars-Jupiter conjunction happened in the 7th house of partners and transactions. So I don't know whether you've been feeling emboldened that you're in good partnership, good transactions for business, maybe, because also that first Lord, Jupiter, is part of that conjunction up there in the 7th house. This seems to be giving a lot of support for doing something meaningful with your career and having creative partnerships. I might be feeling quite driven or well supported to have creative partnerships at this time. Sagittarius Ascendant. For Capricorn Ascendant, the Sun is the 8th Lord and it's in the 9th house. It is maybe about getting detailed, using Virgo to connect to this 9th house of meaning and what is meaningful. What do I need to change in order to find more meaning? The Sun can have that transformative role for Capricorn Ascendant. And the Mars and Jupiter conjunction happened in the 6th house, which is about health and obstacles and what we do every day, our daily routines. This would be a good time that if we are able to use that kind of investigative Sun of a Capricorn Ascendant to really investigate what's meaningful, then we might be feeling, because of the Jupiter-Mars conjunction, that we can implement that into our daily life because that happened in our 6th house. And then just wanted to also point out that Saturn, the Ascendant Lord for Capricorn, will be in Pisces during this partial lunar eclipse. So it's going to get wrapped up in the eclipse energy. And that would be happening in the 3rd house for Capricorn Ascendant. So some courage there. Some courage maybe to make these changes that we've identified by being meticulously detailed in Virgo and understanding what is meaningful and purposeful for us. For Aquarius Ascendant, the Sun is the 7th Lord and it's going to be in the 8th house during solar Virgo. So the 7th Lord is all about partnerships and transactions, and the 8th house is a moksha house of transformation and change. Maybe if you have a spouse, maybe a way to connect to Virgo energy this month is to support the spouse through some change. But if we don't have a spouse, maybe this is a time to use the 8th house, Virgo, to understand, go through our information, go through our data input around partnerships, what it is that's working, that's not working, what we want, what we don't want, use that digestive process of Virgo. The lunar eclipse is also happening for Aquarius Ascendant in that Saturn, the Ascendant Lord, will be in Pisces, which will be the second house for Aquarius Ascendant during this partial lunar eclipse, second house of finances. The Mars-Jupiter conjunction happened in the fifth house, which can be about investments. So as Aquarius is a fixed sign, often these things start to bing, bing all on the financial houses. So we've got the seventh Lord, the Sun. That's the Lord of business transactions. We've got the eighth house of other people's money. We've got the fifth house where the Mars-Jupiter conjunction is happening. That is about investments. And your first Lord is going to be wrapped up in that as well. So maybe transforming one's finances is going to be a theme to contemplate. Virgo is a good place to really examine these things, really use Virgo to digest them, take your time to think them through. And for Pisces Ascendant, the Sun is the sixth Lord. It's going to be in the seventh house. The sixth Lord is all about health and nutrition, digestion, debts and obstacles, and our daily routines. And it's in the seventh house of partnerships and transactions. Maybe we want to be detailed and meticulous in transforming our transactions and relationships. We have that Mars-Jupiter energy is in our fourth house for Pisces Ascendant, which is about home and about inner peace. And Pisces Ascendant, Jupiter is it's the Ascendant Lord, and it's right in that conjunction. It rules our first house, and it's there with the second Lord and the ninth Lord, Mars. So again, wondering if this is going to interest you in your finances and even around home, purchasing a home, maybe feeling more emboldened about that because of the Jupiter and Mars situation. So these are some things to keep in mind for Pisces Ascendant. Okay, so there we go, a summer edition of Solar Virgo. I hope that you found something useful in our discussion about what is going on this month as the Sun transits Virgo. And I look forward to seeing you during this solar month of Virgo. So please do be in touch and continue to enjoy your summer if you're here in the Northern Hemisphere. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, enjoy those lengthening days. You are lucky because the sun is coming in your direction as we are day by day saying goodbye to it, and our days are getting shorter. All right. Look forward to catching up with all of you soon. Bye for now.